So I've been running this channel for a while now, and I figured it's time to bring in some new people who can give their own perspectives on developments in science and technology. So I did some recruiting, and I found someone who's radically in favor of technology, and someone else who's radically against it. And I think you guys are gonna like who I found. Hey, do you want to join my internet show? You seem like you'd have some interesting thoughts. Excuse me. What was that? Do you want to offer a pro-technology perspective on my YouTube channel? Sounds great, I'd love to. Hey, do you want to join my internet show? Excuse me? Yeah, I'd love to have you on as part of my YouTube channel. What? Well, you seem like you could offer an anti-technology perspective, and that's just what we... Alright, sorry about that, but I appreciate you agreeing to be on the show. Although, your dark green shirt might cause a problem when I'm editing out the green screen later. Well, my other shirt is dirty right now, so... Fair enough. Another small thing, can you look down here at the camera rather than at me? No, I won't be doing that. Okay, well, moving on with the introduction, you've asked me not to say your name to preserve your anonymity, and you're an anarcho-primitivist, is that correct? No, not exactly. So, an anarcho-primitivist, as the label primitivist suggests, is someone who believes that humanity should return to an era prior to the agricultural revolution, prior to when humans were living in crowded cities, back to a time when we were still a hunter-gatherer culture. Now, I am nowhere near as strict in my own personal philosophy. I recognize that some of the technological developments over the past few thousand years have had positive impacts on society, from reducing burdensome labor to solving certain diseases. And we can't pretend like all technology is bad. I think that's naive. But at the same time, we ought to be skeptical of technology. And I, personally, am highly skeptical, highly critical of the majority of technologies that have been developed since the Industrial Revolution. I mean, we've seen since the Industrial Revolution this work culture whereby you work for a boss who treats you like cattle, and then using the wages you raise, you then buy these products that you don't need that then enrich your boss. And it's completely ridiculous. TH? 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Alright, 1 second. Okay, you have my undivided attention. Alright, well, thank you for agreeing to be on the show. Thanks for having me. So, you legally changed your name to TH2150, 2150 being the year you expect to die, and TH identifying you as a transhumanist. What is transhumanism? Well, that's a great question. So a transhumanist is someone who believes in the radically uplifting power of technology. We transhumanists look to human history, and we see that technology has done a great deal to uplift us as a species, so that now we're living in a relative degree of comfort and health, and we have technology to thank for that. But even more than looking to the past, we transhumanists look to the future, and we believe that the next few decades will have many exciting developments that will further enhance us as a species, from AI to assist in our decision-making, to gene editing, which will allow future generations to be resistant to diseases, to neural implants, limb replacements, and what have you. And we believe that with all these developments, humanity will soon enter a phase that can only be called post-human. And to some people that might sound like a scary concept, but to us transhumanists, we think it's exciting and a wonderful thing that we should be welcoming. Now, I'm not going to pretend like all technology is bad. I think it would be ridiculous to suggest that a hunk of metal is inherently evil. But what is evil is how technologies are being used. And unfortunately, the vast majority of modern technology is used for evil purposes. Social control, surveillance, the domestication of the masses, and this really worries me. like I said, not all technology. I mean, if you take something simple like my glasses, for example, I definitely think that, objectively speaking, this technology has a positive impact, at least on myself, in that it allows me to see. And in modern society, that prevents me from being run over by a truck. Or in a primitive society, introducing glasses would allow people to avoid being mauled by bears or something like that. So I think that some technologies are positive, but this is a very simple technology and one that I, as the user, have full control over and a full understanding of. Now, unfortunately, most modern technologies are not like that at all. Take your smartphone, for example. I'm willing to bet that you have no idea how it works, nor do you understand what's going on behind the scenes with how this phone is enabling, phone companies and the government to track your data, track your location, track the messages that you send.
So what makes you so pro-technology?
Well, I believe that technology is what sets humans apart from animals, our ability to improve our surroundings and ourselves. And I do think that the majority of humanity's current problems do have a technical solution. Not all of them, mind you, but the majority. From the big issues that we're currently facing as a species, like climate change, well, we can address that with green technologies and clean energy. To even smaller problems, like, well, you and I were born with the genetic predisposition to have bad eyesight, and you improved that with glasses. So you're a bit of a transhumanist yourself, while I personally opted for LASIK. And as more procedures like that emerge in the coming decades, I will welcome them. I will certainly improve my body in whatever ways that science allows.
Sure, but glasses and LASIK are one thing. Aren't gene editing and robotic limbs a bit unnatural?
No, I don't think so. And I actually remember seeing an interesting comic. I'll share it with you, and you can put it up on screen here. The premise is that when the primordial soup produces these machines that we now refer to as life, we call that natural. And when animals, when birds, let's say, produce nests, or when ants construct colonies, we call that natural too. But when it's humans that are using our surroundings to create machines, all of a sudden we call that unnatural or artificial. And to me, that's completely illogical. I think it's humanity's right, and perhaps our responsibility, to improve ourselves in whatever ways possible. We didn't choose to be put in these bodies, but we can choose how we want to enhance them. And to me, that is our wonderful freedom as humans. I mean, I'm not even discussing the major ecological consequences of industrial-era technologies that are just ravaging the planet, completely destroying ecosystems, and might lead to, complete ecological collapse in the next few decades. But even minor things, like for the past few days, there's been this incessant helicopter droning that is interrupting my own thinking, and we're supposed to pretend like this is okay and that this is normal. This is not how the world was meant to be.
Don't you worry that unequal access to technology might just lead to even greater inequalities?
Yes, well, it is the unfortunate fact that with any new technology, it's likely to only be accessible to wealthy consumers in wealthy countries at first. But over time, technologies are bound to become cheaper and therefore more accessible to poorer communities and poorer nations, until eventually that technology is likely to become ubiquitous. And this diffusion process doesn't even take that long. I mean, even only through the past couple decades, we've seen internet access skyrocket across the globe. Air conditioning, it's a technology that on paper seems productive and doesn't really have any clear harmful impacts. At the same time, we're completely reliant in the West on technologies like this, and that's what worries me, is that if there were, widespread power failures in the future, people would be doomed, unfortunately. People do not know how to survive without this modern technology.
So what are you hoping that technology will do for you personally?
Well, I'm hopeful that near future developments in technology will allow me to enhance my body through robotic limb replacements, and my mind through things like neural implants. But overall, I would have to say that my number one goal is that within my lifetime, developments in science will allow us to achieve immortality. Be it biological immortality through procedures like telomere rejuvenation. I'll send you an article I read about that. It's quite interesting. Or digital immortality through something like mind uploading. And I know immortality is a word that people find scary. I'm not saying that technology will force us to live forever, but that it will give us the freedom to choose when we die, which to me is the greatest freedom that has eluded humanity throughout its entire history.
You know, some people would accuse you of playing God.
Yes, well, God was an inventor, and he did create us in his image, so... So, overall, if I had to choose between a primitive hunter-gatherer lifestyle and the hellscape that is modern society, I would certainly choose the former. And so, ultimately, yes, I suppose that you can call me an anarcho-primitivist. It's not the most accurate label, but it fits well enough.
Okay, well, I think you already touched on everything I was gonna ask.
Yes, well, it has been some time since I've actually conversed with another person.
Yes, well, I appreciate your contribution. I know it was a bit uncomfortable for you.
Well, I'd like to remind you that the only reason that I'm even indulging your internet show is because you promised me that with your massive following, you would be able to raise enough revenue to finally buy me a cabin in the Pacific Northwest, where I can live with my dog. And I will hold you to that, so...
Yes, of course. Well, I thank you again, and I look forward to having you as a recurring feature on this channel. Well, thanks again for being on the show, and we look forward to hearing more of your thoughts in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, and I'll see you soon.
So if you want to see TH and the Anprim go head-to-head on topics like gene editing and AI, then you're in luck because that will be coming in future videos. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, and check out some of my old videos and all that stuff. Yeah. Alright, see you soon.